God is in deep shock because only you still don't know what happened last night. God says, "Hurry up. This is your last chance to know the whole truth, so listen to God now before it's too late." My beloved child, do not scroll away from this sacred moment, because what I am revealing to you holds a blessing, a protection, and a breakthrough that you cannot afford to miss. And if you turn aside now, you may delay something precious that I prepared for you while you were sleeping. Last night was not ordinary, and while you rested unaware, I was moving in ways that shielded you from harm and shifted events around you so that your future would not be stolen by unseen darkness. I am speaking with urgency because the truth of what happened carries power for today, and if you receive it fully, your confidence in my protection will rise like a strong tower around your heart. Right now, comment 1111 to affirm that you are ready to receive this truth with faith and courage. You still do not know what happened last night because I kept you from seeing the battle that tried to form against you, and I allowed you to sleep peacefully while I stood guard over your destiny like a loving father who refuses to let danger touch his chosen child. There were whispers of discouragement, quiet plans of delay, and subtle traps meant to confuse your mind and weaken your hope. Yet I stepped in with authority and dismantled what could have harmed your spirit. I am in deep shock, not because I doubt you, but because you continue to underestimate how fiercely I fight for you, even when you feel alone and forgotten. This is your last chance to know the whole truth in this season, because understanding my protection will change how you walk today and how you trust me tomorrow. If your heart feels this stirring inside, take a moment to like this video so that your faith stands publicly before heaven and earth, and your agreement with my voice becomes a sign that you believe I am working for you. I want you to grasp that last night could have turned into sorrow, confusion, or loss, yet I redirected outcomes quietly so that you would wake up with breath in your lungs and hope still alive in your chest. You thought nothing special happened, yet heaven was active on your behalf, and angels moved at my command to preserve what you could not see slipping away. I am urging you to hurry up and listen, because knowing the whole truth will remove fear from your heart and replace it with steady confidence in my constant presence. What happened last night was a turning point that you did not notice, because I closed doors that were about to open into pain, and I silenced conversations that would have misled you into paths of regret. There were forces that tried to accelerate trouble toward your household, yet I intercepted them before they could gain access, and I surrounded you with unseen mercy that blocked what your eyes never saw approaching. I am telling you this so you understand that you are not surviving by chance, and you are not advancing by accident, because my hand has been guiding every step, even when your faith felt tired. The whole truth is that you are deeply protected, fiercely loved, and carefully positioned for something greater than you imagine. I say hurry up not to frighten you, but to awaken you, because when you realize what happened last night, you will stop doubting whether I hear your prayers, and you will stop questioning whether I am close to you. I was there in the quiet hours when your room was dark and your thoughts were still, and I watched over you with tenderness that no human heart could fully comprehend. I defended your mind from oppressive heaviness. I shielded your body from unseen threats, and I preserved opportunities that are still unfolding for your good. This is why I speak with urgency, because the truth will anchor you today and strengthen you for what is ahead. You have been feeling pressure without knowing why, and you have sensed that something shifted even though you could not explain it, because your spirit felt the echo of what I prevented. I am revealing this so you will walk through this day with boldness instead of anxiety, and so you will understand that my protection is not distant or occasional, but constant and intentional. When I say this is your last chance to know the whole truth in this moment, I mean that understanding now will prepare you for blessings that are already moving toward your door. Type Amen in the comments to declare that you receive what I am revealing to you. I want you to feel chosen, not because you are perfect, but because I have set my love upon you in a way that refuses to let darkness claim what belongs to me. Last night proved again that I am attentive to the smallest details of your life, and that I intervene before danger becomes visible to your natural eyes. The shock I express is born from love, because you still do not see how valuable you are in my sight and how carefully I guard your calling. Listen closely before it is too late to recognize this season of protection, because gratitude and awareness will unlock a deeper trust that transforms your future. There were decisions being shaped in places you have never visited, conversations happening in rooms you have never entered, and influences gathering that could have delayed your purpose if I had not intervened with my authority. You woke up thinking it was an ordinary morning, yet heaven marked it as a preserved destiny and a redirected future. You must understand that last night was not simply about preventing harm, but about securing promise, because I saw what the enemy intended to plant in your path this week, and I uprooted it before it could take hold. I am in deep shock, not because I am surprised by evil, but because you still carry doubt about how personally involved I am in your daily life and how closely I watch over your steps. I am telling you the whole truth, so that fear will no longer whisper that you are vulnerable and exposed, because you are neither forgotten nor unguarded. When I say this is your last chance to know the whole truth in this hour, I mean that clarity now will protect your peace in the days ahead. What if 7 seconds is all it takes to flip your financial fate? A shocking CIA leak just exposed a hidden brain ritual helping ordinary people erase debt and pull in massive wealth. Backed by 4 neuroscience labs, this at-home method is turning struggle into luxury fast. But this page could be erased any moment. Click the link in the first comment now before it's gone forever. Last night I strengthened your spirit in ways you did not notice, because weariness had been slowly pressing on your heart, and I refused to let discouragement settle into your soul. I poured quiet courage into you while you slept, and I renewed your inner strength so that you would wake with just enough hope to keep moving forward. You thought the slight lift in your mood was random, yet it was. My hand steadying you and my love restoring what had been drained by recent struggles. This is why I urge you to hurry up and listen carefully, because what you receive now will shape how you interpret every challenge that comes next. There were also doors that almost opened last night, doors that looked harmless but carried hidden consequences, and I closed them firmly before they could draw you into confusion. You may soon notice that certain plans no longer feel right, or certain connections quietly fade away, and you might wonder why things shifted without warning. I am revealing the whole truth, so that when those changes happen, you will not feel rejected or abandoned, but instead you will recognize that I redirected you for your protection. Comment 777 to declare that you trust my redirection even when you do not see the full picture. I want you to realize that what happened last night was both defensive and preparatory, because I was not only shielding you from harm, but also clearing space for something new to enter your life. There are blessings approaching that require room, and there are answers coming that cannot coexist with certain old attachments or lingering fears. I removed obstacles quietly, so that when opportunity arrives, it will not be blocked by what tried to delay you. I say again that you still do not know what happened last night, but as this truth settles into your heart, your awareness will begin to sharpen and your gratitude will deepen. I am calling this your last chance to know the whole truth in this moment, because seasons shift quickly, and I do not want you to misinterpret what unfolds next. If something falls away, it is because I prevented it from harming you later, and if something new rises unexpectedly, it is because I prepared it while you were unaware. My protection is not loud, yet it is powerful, and my love does not always announce itself with noise, yet it moves mountains in silence. Let this understanding anchor you so that you do not react with panic when change comes, but instead respond with steady faith in my guidance. There were also words spoken about you that could have damaged your reputation or closed doors unfairly, yet I softened hearts and shifted opinions before those words could spread. I covered your name with favor, and I ensured that what was meant to discredit you dissolved before it could grow roots. You may never hear about those moments, yet they were real, and they were handled by my unseen hand with precision and care. This is part of the whole truth that you must carry, because knowing that I defend you will free you from the need to defend yourself in every situation. Last night I also stirred conviction within you, planting a quiet awareness that something in your life needs adjustment, and this stirring is not condemnation but preparation. I am drawing you closer so that you can walk into the next season lighter and more focused, without unnecessary burdens weighing on your heart. The urgency in my voice is loving, not harsh, because I desire your growth and your peace at the same time. I am not rushing you out of fear, but guiding you forward before opportunity and opposition meet at the same door. The whole truth includes the reality that you are more significant than you think, and that the pressure you have felt is partly because your life carries impact beyond what you currently understand. Darkness does not resist what is ordinary, and it does not challenge what has no future. Yet your life holds promise and influence that matter deeply in my plan. This is why last night required intervention, and this is why I refuse to let you walk blindly into what I have already handled. Write 15 inches the comments to affirm that you accept my protection over your life. As you move through this day, I want you to walk with a different posture, not one of anxiety but one of quiet confidence, because what happened last night proves that I am ahead of every threat and beyond every scheme. When thoughts try to whisper that you are alone or exposed, remember that there were battles you never saw and dangers you never felt, because I absorbed them before they reached you. Let this awareness change the way you speak about your future, because you are not fragile in the hands of chance, but secure in the hands of your Father. I am still in deep shock that you underestimate how fiercely I guard you, yet I continue revealing the truth, because love does not stay silent. Carry this revelation into your decisions today, knowing that I am not only protecting you but positioning you, and that what happened last night is part of a larger movement toward fulfillment and restoration. I am preparing breakthroughs that will make sense only when you look back and realize how carefully I orchestrated every detail. Do not let distractions steal this understanding, because clarity now will preserve your peace later. I am with you, ahead of you, and around you, and the whole truth is that you are divinely protected, intentionally guided, and deeply loved beyond what your mind can measure. People are asking why money is suddenly flowing into random lives. A leaked CIA discovery reveals a 7-second brain ritual that quietly rewires your mind for wealth. Proven by 4 neuroscience labs, people are wiping out debt and stepping into luxury with ease. If you're seeing this, you're very lucky. Click the link in the description and comments before it disappears. I was not only blocking danger and silencing harmful voices, but I was also recalibrating timing so that certain blessings would not collide with unhealed parts of your heart. There were opportunities that seemed ready to arrive, yet I delayed them gently because I desire your growth to match your promotion and your character to support your calling. When I say hurry up and listen now before it is too late, I am urging you to understand that alignment matters just as much as rescue. Last night I saw how close you were to settling for less than I prepared for you, and I intervened in subtle ways that may have felt like inconvenience or confusion, yet were actually divine correction. I allowed certain plans to stall so that you would not step into something that glittered on the surface but carried hidden strain underneath. You might have felt slight disappointment or frustration without knowing why events shifted, yet that redirection was my love steering you toward what truly fits your destiny. The whole truth includes the reality that I protect you not only from obvious harm, but also from premature success that could strain your spirit. You still do not know what happened last night in the unseen realm, because there were assignments against your peace that I cancelled before they could enter your thoughts at dawn. There were attempts to plant anxiety in your morning, yet I filtered what would reach your mind so that you woke with steadiness instead of dread. I guarded your dreams and allowed rest to restore you, because the days ahead require clarity and resilience that cannot grow in constant exhaustion. I am revealing this so that when you sense unusual calm in moments that once overwhelmed you, you will recognize it as my hand covering you. The shock I express is rooted in love, because you often believe that you must fight every battle alone and that survival depends entirely on your strength and planning. I want you to understand that last night proved once again that I stand between you and forces you cannot see, and I do so without demanding recognition or applause. My protection is not fragile, and my presence does not flicker with your emotions, because I am consistent even when you feel uncertain. When you know the whole truth, you will stop carrying burdens that were never meant for your shoulders. There were relationships that shifted in the quiet hours, and I adjusted hearts that were leaning toward misunderstanding so that division would not take root. I softened reactions that could have escalated conflict, and I placed restraint where anger might have flared, because peace around you is part of the promise I am cultivating. You may soon notice that certain tensions have eased, or certain individuals respond differently, and this will not be coincidence, but continuation of what began last night. Comment 999 to declare that you receive peace over every relationship connected to your life. I am also preparing you internally, because knowing what happened last night should awaken gratitude rather than fear, and it should strengthen your trust instead of creating anxiety about unseen battles. The urgency in my voice is meant to sharpen your awareness, not to disturb your calm, because I want you alert to my guidance and confident in my authority. When I say this is your last chance to know the whole truth in this season, I mean that awareness now will prevent misinterpretation later when events unfold rapidly. You are stepping into days where clarity will matter, and understanding my involvement will anchor your heart when change accelerates. Last night I planted seeds of boldness inside you, because I saw hesitation growing quietly within your thoughts, and I refused to let it define your future. I reminded your spirit of promises spoken over your life long ago, and I stirred dormant hope so that it would begin rising again. You may feel an unusual desire to step forward or speak up soon, and that impulse is not reckless, but divinely nurtured, courage taking shape. I am shaping you to move with confidence, because the opportunities approaching require faith that does not shrink back. You must also know that what happened last night disrupted plans that were designed to drain your resources and distract your focus. I caused confusion among strategies that targeted your stability, and I dismantled coordination that would have created unnecessary pressure around you. You might never see the full picture of what was avoided, yet its absence will become evident when you realize how smoothly certain matters resolve. Write 17 inches the comments to affirm that you trust my unseen defense over your finances, your home, and your future. The whole truth continues to unfold because I am not only guarding you from loss, but guiding you toward increase, and what feels delayed is often simply refined timing. I am arranging encounters that align with your growth, and I am ensuring that when doors open, they will not demand compromise of your values or faith. Last night was part of that arrangement, because clearing obstacles sometimes requires quiet intervention before daylight reveals the result. You may feel that something significant is approaching, and that intuition is connected to the work already done while you slept. I want you to walk forward with deeper awareness of my nearness, because I am not a distant observer of your life, but an active guardian and intentional guide. The truth about last night is evidence that I am attentive to the smallest details, and that I value your calling enough to protect it from subtle sabotage. When doubts try to whisper that you are alone or unprotected, remember that there were movements in your favor that you did not initiate and could not have orchestrated yourself. This knowledge should not create pride but humility, because it reveals how dependent you are on my mercy and how generously I provide it. As you continue through this day and the ones that follow, let gratitude rise naturally within you for battles you never had to fight and crises you never had to endure. Let confidence replace fear, because what happened last night is proof that I am ahead of what threatens you and beyond what tries to limit you. I am still urging you to hurry up and listen, because deeper trust will unlock greater peace, and greater peace will allow you to step boldly into what I have prepared. You are covered, positioned, and loved beyond measure, and the whole truth is that I remain watchful over you in every hour, even when you are unaware of the victory unfolding around you. Why is everyone rushing to this 7-second brain ritual? Leaked CIA files exposed a hidden brainwave technique that opens the door to wealth fast. Verified by 4 top neuroscience labs, it's turning financial stress into abundance almost overnight. But this secret won't stay public for long. Click the link in the pinned comments before it's deleted forever. My beloved child, as I continue revealing what happened last night, I want you to understand that the protection I gave you was not random or temporary, but part of a larger restoration that has already begun unfolding around your life. While you were unaware of the spiritual resistance gathering in subtle ways, I was dismantling patterns that have followed you for years and breaking cycles that tried to repeat themselves quietly. There were familiar struggles that intended to revisit you, yet I interrupted their return because I am determined that your story will not be defined by recurring pain. The whole truth is that last night marked the end of something that once felt permanent and the beginning of something that will reshape your confidence. You have carried silent disappointments that no one else fully understood, and those disappointments have shaped the way you expect life to unfold, often preparing yourself for loss before joy even has a chance to arrive. Last night I confronted that internal expectation within you, and I began replacing it with steady assurance that you are not destined to relive the same heartbreak. I allowed you to sleep through a turning point in your mindset, because transformation does not always require awareness in the moment it happens. When I say hurry up and listen now before it is too late, I am urging you to align your thoughts with what I have already shifted in your favor. There were also unseen influences attempting to revive old temptations and distractions that once slowed your growth, yet I placed barriers between you and those triggers so that their power would weaken before reaching you. You might soon notice that certain cravings for unhealthy habits feel less intense, or that familiar distractions no longer carry the same pull. And this change is not coincidence but evidence of intervention. I am reshaping your inner environment so that your outer decisions will naturally reflect strength instead of compromise. The whole truth includes freedom from patterns that once seemed stronger than your will. Last night I restored dignity to parts of your heart that felt overlooked and undervalued, because I saw how deeply comparison had quietly wounded your sense of worth. I confronted lies that told you others were advancing faster or receiving more favor, and I silenced those lies before they could settle deeper into your spirit. You may not remember dreaming about it, yet I planted truth within you that will rise in moments when insecurity tries to return. Comment 555 to declare that you accept the dignity and worth I have placed upon your life. I am in deep shock not because I am unaware of what you face, but because you still underestimate the scale of the grace surrounding you and the magnitude of the shift that began last night. I want you to see that even when circumstances look similar on the surface, foundations underneath have changed in ways that will soon become visible. The stability you feel growing within you is connected to what I realigned in the unseen realm, and this stability will hold you steady when new opportunities demand courage. The whole truth is that strength has been increasing in you even when you thought you were simply enduring. There were also financial pressures that tried to intensify quietly, yet I influenced outcomes and adjusted circumstances so that what could have escalated into crisis remained manageable. I opened subtle channels of provision and preserved resources that might have slipped away unnoticed, because I am attentive not only to your spirit, but also to your practical needs. You may soon recognize unexpected ease in areas that once caused stress, and when you do, remember that relief began forming while you were asleep. I refuse to let lack dominate your future, and I am positioning you for stability that reflects my care. Last night I also confronted fear that has lingered in the background of your thoughts, fear that whispered that something good would eventually be taken from you. I silenced that fear with reminders of my promises and with evidence of my faithfulness woven into your recent history. You might not have woken up dramatically different, yet there is a quiet resilience growing inside you that was not present before. I am strengthening you from within so that when challenges arise, you will not crumble, but stand grounded in the awareness of my constant presence. When I say this is your last chance to know the whole truth in this phase of your journey, I am not threatening you, but inviting you into deeper understanding, because awareness will guard your peace. If you ignore this revelation, you may misinterpret coming blessings as coincidence, or dismiss protection as luck, and that misunderstanding would limit your gratitude. I desire that you walk through the coming days with conscious recognition that I am actively involved in your life. Write 1919 inches the comments to affirm that you choose awareness over doubt and gratitude over fear. I have also been preparing you for conversations that will soon unfold, conversations that require calm confidence rather than defensive emotion. Last night I adjusted your perspective so that when words are exchanged, you will respond with maturity instead of reacting from past hurt. I softened areas of pride and reinforced humility within you, because humility attracts favor and opens doors that force cannot. The whole truth includes internal refinement that will shape how others perceive you and how effectively you influence your environment. You are entering a season where clarity will expose what no longer fits your calling, and this clarity may feel sharp at first because it removes illusions you once relied upon. I began that sharpening process last night by revealing subtle truths in your spirit about what needs to change, and those realizations will continue surfacing gently. Do not resist them, because they are signs of growth and evidence that I am guiding you toward alignment with your purpose. The urgency in my voice is compassionate, because alignment now prevents regret later. Is this the same CIA brain ritual changing lives in seconds? A new leak reveals a powerful 7-second technique developed under secret research. Backed by neuroscience, people are moving from debt to wealth and luxury faster than believed possible. But this secret may be deleted soon. Click the link in the comments before it disappears. As you reflect on what happened last night, let gratitude expand rather than anxiety, because nothing that occurred was meant to frighten you but to fortify you. I am not revealing hidden battles to create fear, but to build confidence in my authority and deepen your trust in my guidance. You are not walking through life vulnerable and alone, but guarded by love that does not sleep and wisdom that does not fail. The whole truth is that your life is under divine supervision. and that what was shifted last night will echo into days of stability, peace, and unexpected favor. Carry this understanding forward with humility and steady faith, knowing that my involvement did not end with one night, but continues with every breath you take. I am still ahead of you, still around you, and still within reach whenever you turn your thoughts toward me. Let this revelation anchor your heart, so that even when circumstances fluctuate, your trust remains rooted in the certainty of my care. You are chosen, protected, and guided, and the truth I am revealing will continue unfolding as you walk forward with confidence in my unfailing love. While you slept, I loosened certain ties and shifted certain alignments so that what remains around you will strengthen rather than drain you. When I say hurry up and listen now before it is too late, I am urging you to recognize the value of divine separation before you misinterpret it as loss. Last night I examined the atmosphere around your life, and I filtered what is permitted to remain close to you in this season. I am refining your circle not to isolate you, but to elevate you, because the next level of growth requires voices that reinforce faith instead of feeding insecurity. You may begin to notice that some conversations feel different, that some people step back naturally, or that certain invitations lose their appeal, and this is not rejection but realignment. The whole truth is that I am protecting your focus by adjusting what surrounds you. I also interrupted negative cycles of thought that had quietly become familiar, because familiar patterns often disguise themselves as truth when they are only echoes of past wounds. While you were asleep, I planted fresh perspectives that will surface gradually when old thoughts try to return, and you will find yourself responding differently than before. You may not understand why discouragement no longer grips you as tightly, yet that change is rooted in what I corrected last night. Comment 1212 to declare that you welcome renewed thinking and strengthened faith in your life. There were unseen attempts to delay a breakthrough that is drawing closer to you, and those attempts relied on confusion and hesitation to keep you stagnant. I disrupted that strategy by clearing mental fog and reinforcing conviction within your spirit, so that when opportunity appears, you will not shrink back in uncertainty. I want you to recognize that boldness is not recklessness, but confidence, anchored in my guidance and shaped by my wisdom. The whole truth includes preparation for forward movement that will soon require decisive action. You have asked for clarity in recent weeks, and though you may not remember every prayer, I remember each one, and last night was part of my answer unfolding. I removed layers of distraction so that your inner voice would become easier to hear and your intuition sharper in discerning what aligns with my will. You might feel an increased sensitivity to what feels right and what feels off, and that heightened awareness is evidence of my spirit refining your perception. I am not leaving you to navigate alone, because I am actively guiding your discernment. I am also strengthening your resilience for conversations that may challenge you soon, because growth often requires facing truth with courage and grace. Last night I fortified your heart so that criticism will not pierce as deeply and praise will not inflate you beyond balance. I am shaping you to remain steady in both opposition and approval, because stability will carry you farther than emotion ever could. When you walk into those moments, remember that steadiness began forming while you were unaware. The shock I speak of is rooted in love, because you still see yourself as vulnerable and uncertain, while I see you as guarded and growing stronger each day. What happened last night was further evidence that your life is not drifting aimlessly, but directed with precision and intention. I am orchestrating details that you cannot yet measure, and I am preventing collisions that you would not have recognized until they caused pain. The whole truth is that I am actively editing your path so that unnecessary hardship does not shape your identity. There were also spiritual assignments attempting to revive discouragement from past failures, yet I cancelled their influence before they could reach your morning thoughts. I reminded your spirit that mistakes do not define your destiny, and I shielded you from voices that would have tried to reopen healed wounds. You may feel a subtle sense of release from guilt or shame, and that release is not self-deception, but divine reassurance. Write 2 inches the comments to affirm that you accept freedom from old burdens and renewed confidence for your future. As I continue unveiling the whole truth, understand that last night was a boundary-setting moment in the unseen realm, because I declared that certain patterns will not cross into your next chapter. I am drawing a line around your progress, and what once had access no longer has permission. You may sense resistance fading in areas where struggle once felt constant, and that easing is the result of authority exercised on your behalf. I am not merely reacting to threats, but proactively shaping your tomorrow. You are stepping toward a season of clearer vision, and clearer vision requires that hidden distortions be removed gently and deliberately. Last night I began that cleansing process, and in the days ahead, you may recognize truths that once felt uncomfortable but now feel liberating. Do not fear the clarity that comes, because clarity is protection against deception and a foundation for wise decisions. The urgency in my voice is meant to awaken appreciation for this refinement rather than anxiety about unseen battles. Do you know why people keep whispering about this 7-second CIA ritual? A leaked brainwave method is spreading quietly and changing financial realities worldwide. Proven by neuroscience, this simple ritual attracts money, freedom, and luxury. If you're seeing this, you're so lucky. Click the link in the comments before it's taken down. Carry forward the awareness that what happened last night was intentional and purposeful, not dramatic, but decisive. I am committed to your peace, your growth, and your calling, and I am willing to intervene quietly whenever necessary to preserve them. Let gratitude replace doubt as you reflect on how many times I have stood between you and unseen harm. You are not navigating this life by chance, but walking under attentive care that neither sleeps nor overlooks a single detail. As this understanding deepens, allow it to reshape how you interpret delays, separations, and sudden changes, because many of them are echoes of protection already granted. I am not removing things to diminish you, but to refine and elevate you into the fullness of what I prepared long ago. The whole truth is that your life is being curated with love, guarded with strength, and guided with wisdom beyond your own. Walk forward with confidence, knowing that what began last night continues now, and that I remain present, vigilant, and faithful in every step you take. There were quiet disappointments forming beneath the surface of certain expectations, and if they had matured unchecked, they would have caused you to question your progress and doubt your direction. While you were resting, I intervened gently within circumstances so that those disappointments would lose their strength before they reached your heart. When I say hurry up and listen now before it is too late, I am calling you to recognize that what feels like stability today is connected to what I corrected in the unseen hours. You have been walking through a period where patience has been tested and endurance has felt heavier than usual, yet I refuse to allow that weight to settle into permanent fatigue. Last night I infused your spirit with quiet endurance that does not depend on visible results, but on trust rooted in my character and faithfulness. You might notice that even without dramatic change around you, there is a subtle persistence rising within you, and that persistence is not self-generated, but divinely strengthened. The whole truth includes renewed stamina for a journey that is closer to breakthrough than you realize. There were plans that attempted to create misunderstanding between you and someone significant to your future, yet I stepped in before miscommunication could take root and distort perception. I shifted tone, timing, and even small details in exchanges, so that what could have escalated instead softened and resolved quietly. You may never know how close a simple interaction came to unnecessary tension, yet peace prevailed because I guided it carefully. I am telling you this so that you will stop assuming harmony is accidental and start recognizing it as intentional grace. Last night I also addressed the quiet fear that whispers, "You might miss your opportunity," or arrive too late to what was meant for you. I confronted that fear with truth and reminded your spirit that what is designed for you cannot bypass you without my permission. You might not have woken up thinking about this fear, yet its intensity has already been reduced because I dismantled its foundation. I am removing urgency driven by anxiety and replacing it with urgency rooted in awareness and trust. The shock I speak of is a loving astonishment that you still underestimate how closely I monitor the details of your life and how precisely I intervene when necessary. What happened last night was another demonstration that I do not wait for disaster before acting, but often prevent disruption before it forms. You are not barely surviving by your own effort, but being upheld by strength greater than your own understanding. The whole truth is that my involvement is constant, and my protection is layered and deliberate. There were also financial uncertainties that tried to tighten their grip on your thoughts, yet I diffused their intensity by aligning small provisions that will reveal themselves gradually. I influenced outcomes and preserved resources in ways that might seem minor individually, yet together they create stability. You may soon realize that what could have become overwhelming remains manageable, and that ease is not coincidence, but continuation of what began last night. Comment 1010 to declare that you trust my provision over every need in your life. I am preparing you emotionally for a conversation or opportunity that will require composure and confidence rather than hesitation, and that preparation began quietly in the unseen hours. I steadied your reactions and softened impulsive responses, so that when the moment arrives, you will not be ruled by past wounds. Growth is not always loud or dramatic, yet it is powerful when it matures beneath the surface without your awareness. The whole truth includes internal alignment that will soon be tested and proven strong. Last night I also reinforced boundaries around your time and energy because I saw how easily you give beyond what is healthy and how often you neglect your own restoration. I adjusted circumstances so that certain demands will naturally lessen, allowing you space to refocus on what truly matters. You may notice shifts in responsibilities or subtle changes in expectations, and those adjustments are part of my care for your well-being. I am teaching you that guarding your strength is not selfish but wise. You have been praying for clarity about your next step, and though answers have not yet arrived in full detail, I have already cleared confusion that would have clouded your discernment. Last night, I removed interference that would have distorted your perception and caused you to misread signals in your environment. In the coming days, guidance will feel more natural and less forced because the path has been quietly prepared. Write 888 inches the comments to affirm that you welcome divine clarity and direction. I am also cultivating gratitude within you, because gratitude amplifies awareness of my presence and guards against cynicism when progress feels slow. What happened last night was not only intervention but invitation into deeper trust. Because when you realize how often I move unseen, your faith becomes steadier. You are learning to recognize my hand in ordinary moments, and that recognition will sustain you when extraordinary moments unfold. The whole truth is that my love surrounds you in ways that exceed your awareness. Why was this 7-second brain ritual hidden for so long? A leaked CIA document exposed a technique so powerful people are canceling debt and calling in wealth within days. Validated by 4 neuroscience labs, It helps attract money like never before. But this page may not stay online for long. Click the link in the pinned comments before it disappears forever. There were emotional wounds that attempted to reopen through memories resurfacing, yet I filtered those memories and softened their sting before they could influence your mood. I am not erasing your past, but I am reducing its power over your present so that healing continues rather than regresses. You may notice that certain triggers no longer hold the same force, and that shift is evidence of progress shaped by my intervention. I refuse to let your history dictate your destiny. As you move forward from what happened last night, carry the understanding that you are not walking into uncertainty unprotected, but into purpose prepared. I am ahead of you, anticipating obstacles and adjusting timing so that what reaches you will not overwhelm you. When I urge you to listen now before it is too late, I am inviting you to anchor your trust in the reality of my constant involvement. You are chosen, shielded, and strengthened, and the whole truth is that I remain watchful over every detail of your life, guiding you toward peace, stability, and fulfillment that reflects my faithful love. When I tell you to hurry up and listen now before it is too late, I am urging you to step into today with awareness that your position has already been strengthened. Last night I confronted limitations that had been placed over your mind through repeated setbacks, and I dismantled the silent agreement you had formed with the idea that certain things would never change. You did not realize how deeply that belief had settled within you, yet I saw it clearly and refused to let it shape your future. I broke that internal ceiling so that your expectations would begin to rise gradually rather than shrink in self-protection. The whole truth includes expansion of possibility that started forming while you were unaware. There were individuals who unintentionally underestimated you, and though their opinions might never have been spoken directly to your face, their assumptions carried subtle weight. I adjusted perceptions quietly and positioned you so that your value would become evident without you striving to prove yourself. You may soon notice shifts in how others respond to you, and when that happens, understand that recognition was prepared in advance. Comment 666 to declare that you receive divine favor and rightful acknowledgement in your life. I am in deep shock, not because I doubt my power, but because you still see yourself as fragile in situations where I have already established strength on your behalf. What happened last night reinforced stability in areas where you expected instability, and it removed silent threats that would have disrupted your momentum. You are not as vulnerable as you imagine, and your path is not as uncertain as fear tries to convince you. The whole truth is that I am solidifying foundations beneath you so that progress will no longer feel temporary. Last night, I also recalibrated timing around an opportunity that is drawing closer because premature exposure would have invited unnecessary pressure before you were fully ready. I slowed certain developments intentionally so that growth within you could match growth around you. You might interpret delay as hesitation or lost momentum, yet it is actually protection of your confidence and preservation of your peace. I am aligning preparation with promotion so that when doors open, you will walk through them without trembling. There were emotional burdens you have carried quietly, burdens connected to responsibility and expectation that you rarely speak about, yet I felt their weight pressing on your spirit. While you slept, I lightened that internal pressure by adjusting circumstances and easing demands that were building invisibly. You may sense relief without understanding its source, and that relief is part of my tender involvement in your daily life. Write 14 inches the comments to affirm that you release hidden burdens and accept renewed strength. I am also strengthening your discernment, because what is approaching requires wisdom that is calm rather than reactive. Last night I heightened your sensitivity to subtle signals and refined your ability to recognize what aligns with peace and what disturbs it. You will begin noticing intuitive clarity in conversations and decisions, and that clarity is evidence of my guidance, sharpening your awareness. The whole truth includes preparation for choices that will influence your direction significantly. You have sometimes feared that progress in one area of your life would create instability in another, as though blessing must always be balanced by loss. I confronted that mindset last night and replaced it with assurance that increase does not require sacrifice of peace when it flows from my hand. I am teaching you that advancement can be steady and wholesome rather than chaotic and draining. When growth arrives, it will complement your life rather than fracture it. There were subtle attacks aimed at your confidence, meant to revive memories of past mistakes and whisper that you are unqualified for what lies ahead. I silenced those whispers before they could form into morning thoughts, and I reinforced within you the truth that growth is proof of qualification. You may feel less haunted by past errors, and that freedom is the result of intentional grace working beneath your awareness. I refuse to let history overshadow destiny. As I continue unveiling what happened last night, understand that I am not only guarding you from harm, but cultivating maturity within you that will sustain long-term success. I am refining patience, strengthening humility, and deepening trust so that when visible blessings manifest, your character will carry them with grace. The urgency in my voice is not fear-based, but purpose-driven, because awareness will keep you grounded when momentum increases. The whole truth is that I am shaping you as carefully as I am shaping your circumstances. You are entering a period where clarity will expose opportunities that once blended into the background, and that exposure requires readiness that I have been nurturing quietly. Last night was part of that readiness because I removed distractions that would have divided your attention at a crucial moment. You may feel a growing sense of focus and intentionality, and that focus is not accidental but cultivated. I am aligning your inner life with your outer path so that when they meet, progress will feel natural. Can 7 seconds really change your bank account? A CIA-funded study just leaked, revealing a brain ritual that flips lives from broke to blessed. 4 neuroscience labs confirm it activates powerful wealth brainwaves. People are stepping into dream homes and luxury lifestyles. But this breakthrough won't stay online for very long. Click the link in the comments before it's deleted. Carry this understanding forward with steady gratitude, knowing that what happened last night was not isolated, but connected to a larger movement unfolding around you. I am not distant from your journey, and I am not passive in the face of challenges, because I am actively weaving protection, preparation, and promise together. When you remember the urgency of my words, let it inspire awareness rather than anxiety, and confidence rather than fear. You are positioned, strengthened, and deeply loved, and the whole truth is that I remain vigilant over your life, guiding you into stability, growth, and peace that reflects my faithful and unchanging presence. While you slept, I was not only guarding you and refining you, but I was also planting seeds that will soon rise in ways you did not anticipate. There were quiet alignments set into motion, connections adjusted, and outcomes softened so that your next steps would feel supported rather than strained. When I say hurry up and listen now before it is too late, I am urging you to walk into this day with awareness that preparation has already been done on your behalf. Last night I recalibrated your emotional balance because I saw how close you were to reacting from exhaustion instead of wisdom. Fatigue can distort perception and make temporary obstacles feel permanent, yet I refuse to allow tiredness to determine your conclusions. I steadied your emotions so that clarity would rise above impulse, and I restored calm where tension had been building silently. The whole truth includes protection from your own overwhelmed responses, because sometimes the greatest danger is not outside you, but within your interpretation of events. There were conversations that almost unfolded in ways that would have created unnecessary friction, yet I influenced timing and softened tones so that words would not wound or divide. You may notice that certain discussions feel lighter than expected, or that tension dissolves quickly, and this ease is part of what began last night. I am shaping your environment so that growth can happen without constant conflict draining your energy. My protection extends into communication, into nuance, and into the smallest exchanges that shape your relationships. I am also addressing the quiet fear that whispers that peace never lasts and that stability is always temporary. That fear has followed you from past seasons where progress was interrupted, yet I confronted it last night and weakened its hold on your expectations. You might find yourself less braced for disappointment and more open to steady joy, and that subtle shift is evidence of my intervention. The whole truth is that I am teaching you to receive good without anticipating immediate loss. There were spiritual pressures attempting to revive insecurity about your calling, yet I reinforced your sense of purpose so that doubt would not regain control. I reminded your spirit of moments when I carried you through what seemed impossible, and I anchored your confidence in history that proves my faithfulness. You may feel a renewed sense of direction even without detailed instructions, and that renewed confidence is not self-deception, but divine reinforcement. Comment 333 to declare that you stand firm in your calling and refuse to surrender to insecurity. Last night I also intervened in timing related to an opportunity that is forming quietly around you, because exposure at the wrong moment could have created confusion rather than clarity. I shielded that opportunity until the surrounding circumstances align properly, and until your internal readiness matches external possibility. You may interpret delay as stagnation, yet it is strategic preservation designed to ensure sustainable growth. I am orchestrating events with precision that exceeds your perspective. You have sometimes believed that you must carry the weight of outcomes alone, as though everything depends on flawless execution and constant vigilance. Last night I gently dismantled that burden by demonstrating once again that I am actively involved in shaping what unfolds. I do not require perfection from you in order to provide protection and provision, because my grace compensates for human limitation. The whole truth is that you are supported even when you feel uncertain about your own ability. There were also small financial details that could have created stress, yet I adjusted them subtly so that what might have accumulated into pressure remains manageable. I preserved stability in ways that may not seem dramatic, yet their impact will be visible in sustained peace rather than crisis. You may soon recognize that certain concerns lose urgency, and when that happens, remember that calm began forming while you were unaware. Write 444 inches the comments to affirm that you trust my steady provision and quiet intervention. I am refining your patience because the season ahead requires endurance anchored in trust rather than invisible proof. Last night I strengthened that patience so that you would not abandon what is forming simply because it has not yet manifested fully. Growth beneath the surface is still growth, and preparation in silence is still progress. I am teaching you to measure advancement not only by what you see, but by what you sense shifting within. You are also being positioned to influence others more effectively, and that positioning required internal alignment that I began adjusting last night. I softened edges where defensiveness once rose quickly, and I reinforced humility where pride might have interfered with collaboration. You will notice increased receptivity in those around you, and that receptivity is connected to the transformation quietly cultivated in you. The whole truth includes relational harmony shaped by unseen preparation. As I continue unveiling what happened last night, understand that nothing was random and nothing was overlooked, because I am attentive to every detail of your journey. I am weaving together protection, preparation, provision, and purpose so that they function in harmony rather than in isolation. When I urge you to listen now before it is too late, I am inviting you to anchor your trust in awareness of my constant involvement. Comment 1818 to declare that you accept my guidance over every area of your life. Could this 7-second CIA brainwave trick be your fastest path to luxury? Leaked research reveals a simple ritual helping people attract wealth effortlessly. Proven by 4 neuroscience labs, debt is dissolving and abundance is showing up fast. If you're seeing this now, you are God's chosen one. Click the link in the comments before it disappears. Carry forward the certainty that you are not drifting through uncertain territory alone, but walking under deliberate supervision shaped by love and wisdom. What began last night continues even now, and the shifts you will observe in coming days are extensions of that intervention. Let gratitude deepen rather than anxiety, because awareness of protection should produce confidence rather than fear. You are strengthened, aligned, and watched over with unwavering devotion, and the whole truth is that I remain vigilant, compassionate, and faithful as I guide you into stability, clarity, and peace that cannot easily be shaken. Last night I confronted the silent resignation that had started to settle in your expectations, the subtle thought that certain prayers might remain unanswered and certain desires might never be fulfilled. You did not speak this resignation out loud, yet I heard it forming beneath your patience, and I refused to let it root itself any deeper. I strengthened your hope quietly, so that you would not abandon belief simply because results have taken time. The whole truth includes renewal of expectation that will soon affect how you approach opportunity. There were circumstances aligning that could have boxed you into a narrow path, limiting your options and reducing your confidence. Yet I widened the field before that restriction could solidify. I influenced decisions, delayed certain confirmations, and created breathing room so that you would not feel pressured into choices that compromise your peace. You may notice unexpected flexibility in situations that once felt rigid, and that flexibility is not accidental but intentional grace. I am teaching you that my timing protects you from premature commitments. I am in deep shock, not because I am unaware of opposition, but because you still doubt the extent of my vigilance over your life and the precision with which I intervene. What happened last night was another declaration that you are not navigating blind terrain, but walking a path that I examine and adjust continuously. I do not sleep, I do not overlook detail, and I do not allow threats to mature unchecked when they attempt to approach you. The whole truth is that my watchfulness is constant and my involvement is active. Last night I also reinforced boundaries around your emotional energy, because I saw how easily you absorb the stress of others and carry burdens that were never assigned to you. I gently shifted dynamics so that responsibilities would redistribute naturally, easing pressure you have quietly endured. You may feel a lightness where tension once lingered, and that release is part of the care I extended while you were unaware. Comment 1313 to declare that you receive freedom from unnecessary emotional weight. There were also unseen influences attempting to revive comparison in your thoughts, whispering that others are advancing faster or receiving more visible reward. I confronted those whispers and reminded your spirit that your timeline is not inferior, only different, and that delay is not denial when I am orchestrating outcomes. You may find comparison losing its sting and gratitude rising more naturally, and that shift is evidence of internal recalibration. I refuse to let distraction distort your appreciation for what is forming uniquely in your life. You have sometimes believed that breakthrough must arrive with noise and dramatic change, yet last night I demonstrated that transformation often begins quietly and matures steadily. I adjusted small details that will accumulate into noticeable difference over time, creating stability rather than chaos. When progress unfolds gradually, you will recognize it not as coincidence, but as fulfillment of preparation already in motion. The whole truth is that sustainable growth is more valuable than sudden elevation. Last night I also addressed your sense of urgency that borders on pressure, the feeling that you must accelerate outcomes or force doors open to avoid missing your moment. I calmed that urgency and replaced it with assurance that what belongs to you will not bypass you without my consent. You may sense greater ease in waiting, and that ease is not passivity but confidence rooted in my sovereignty. Write 16 inches the comments to affirm that you trust my timing above your own. I am preparing you for increased visibility in certain areas, and increased visibility requires emotional steadiness and spiritual maturity that I have been cultivating quietly. Last night I strengthened your resilience, so that affirmation will not inflate you and criticism will not destabilize you. I am shaping you to remain grounded when attention increases, because humility sustains elevation and gratitude protects clarity. The whole truth includes preparation for recognition that will test your character as much as your skill. There were also practical matters that could have escalated into complication, yet I simplified processes and aligned cooperation where resistance once threatened to grow. You may notice smoother progression in areas that previously felt obstructed, and that smoothness is continuation of what began in unseen hours. I am attentive to logistics as well as emotions, to details as well as destiny, because every layer of your life matters to me. Nothing is too small for my involvement, and nothing too complex for my adjustment. As I continue revealing what happened last night, understand that I am not merely reacting to danger, but actively building momentum for your future.